together being simple. Yes.
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 Yes. You can't do that in SketchUp.
Okay. So, the main point about SketchUp and about the tools that you use every day is that they're available for everyone. But the biggest thing that I got out of this quick video and the way I think about using SketchUp personally is to explore creativity, right? Perfect example for me is a little toy that I made for my son by marriage. Now, if Alicia hasn't told you about Clifford is into cars. Clifford loves cars. Clifford knows cars about as well as I do. He can identify cars, etc., etc. He also loves to mimic when I'm driving. My car's a manual and, stick shift and all that kind of thing. And I noticed him one day actually using a bottle and holding it and putting it in the cup holder and making like he was shifting, right? So I thought, maybe we could make something for him. I'm going to trip over this. That'd be fun. And maybe we can make something for him. So we kind of started off with one little thing. I think we put a straw in a cup. He used that for a little bit, and we thought, well, maybe we can actually make something. So what I ended up doing is actually taking a cup, and this is like a tumbler, right, that you would find. You can see inside of it. I painted it. It's got a stick shift and whatnot. But what I ended up doing, part of this, I actually made with a 3D printer, right? Designed it in SketchUp. Clifford is lucky that he has an uncle and a granddad that both have 3D printers. And that is the key, isn't it? Is that this type of technology, which was something years ago was hundreds of thousands of dollars, can now be purchased for 99 bucks. I mean, there's some kits out there, 3D printers, as cheap as that, right? The software is free. So you can do a lot of this stuff with your creativity. If you can think about what you want to do, you can design this stuff. You can make it a reality. So so this part of it I designed using SketchUp, and I'll show you here in just a minute. And then his granddad printed it out. We assembled it all, and now he has a real live shifter, just like a Ferrari, well, close to like a Ferrari, that he loves to use. And we can't go anywhere without this shifter if we're driving, right? Whether it be my car or his car. So you can go through the gears. So it's about creativity, right? And that's, I think, from what I understand of the stories that Alicia always tells me, is that she always works to use creativity in anything we do, right? So when you think about SketchUp, or you think about your programming in HTML, or whatever else it may be, those are the tools that help you create things. But it's your creativity that really produces these things. That's where it really comes into play, right? So thinking about your creativity, let me show you a few things that I've sketched up. Now, some of these I still need to print. I haven't done that yet, but when I'm curious about certain things, and I've had fun with SketchUp before. Let's see. I think my battery on my mouse. Well, hey. let's look at if I could get this to come back up. So this is a phone holder that I made, and it's kind of, I haven't printed this out yet because it's going to take a little bit to get this going. In that it's kind of, while the prototyping is interesting, right? You could make things that you think about, right? Obviously, you know, you still have to print that out in a physical way. And so sometimes you play around with certain things until you kind of get at what you're really looking for. Let me pull this other one up here.
Tim, can you identify the problem that you saw that led you to?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was gonna. I think this is the first one that I made. So the first one that I made was this right here, to Alicia's point. So the first, what I call check mark, that's what I'm calling my prototypes, is that while this, I like the design and I like the look and it looks, you know, pretty interesting, it's kind of expensive to print this because of there's so much material that's required for it. When I sent it to Alicia's dad, he said, okay, yeah, we can print it, obviously, but it's going to take like a spool and a half or something, you know. So I had to start thinking about, well, I don't necessarily, I'm just trying to test this out, right? Now, it's something I have in my mind, but do I really want to spend that much on that? So
I'm sorry
I started
to interrupt you, but I'm saying, what was the problem that prompted you to even start making something?
Oh, okay. So I'm sitting in my office and I have my, you know, I have my work phone, I have my cell phone or whatnot. It's sitting on my desk, and I'm thinking, man, it sure would be nice if I had a little phone holder there. And so I started thinking about myself of what I would like, right? You start looking online, and that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. But what if I made something myself? You know, used my creativity to actually make something that is for Tim, from Tim. So the first problem was that it was kind of too much material. So I started, well, maybe I could get some of the same aesthetics, but remove some of the material. And so with the software, I was able to cut out some, and this has about half the material that the first one had. And I'm still playing around with it, but that just kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. Let me show you, this is the original. This is Clifford's. So this is the shifter. The shift gate is what it's called, actually, on the car. You typically don't see that in a manual transmission. That's an old school kind of thing. But anyway, so this is what I made, and it took some time. I think one of the things that I found with SketchUp, and you know, I wouldn't call myself any kind of expert. I wouldn't want to give that impression. But I think what you have to think about with SketchUp, this has always helped me, is that you're kind of taking a block. Actually, I heard this quote years ago about Michelangelo, the famous painter, artist, sculptor. He said that the images and the sculpture was in the rock. He just had to bring it out, right? And in some ways, that's how I look at SketchUp. You kind of make that block, right? And then you cut stuff out of it. And before you know it, then you end up with a design. So, and you can do it in a couple ways. And we'll start talking about it. But I'm telling you, there's plenty of online stuff. I mean, there is so much stuff, even within the software. It may have, when you download it, it may have said, welcome to a tutorial. I don't know if y'all saw that or if it prompted you, but you know, I mean, YouTube has a billion things. And SketchUp themselves, the makers, Google, the maker of it, has put a lot of kind of professionally edited videos as well to help you kind of, like, this is the way it works, this is the way it moves. But the biggest thing is you kind of start, depending on what you're doing, right? You kind of start flat, right? And then you can pull it up and then trim it off, or you can start flat, trim it, and then pull it up. So you're kind of making something 3D out of 2D, it's really kind of an interesting program, and it's addicting. I once spent many hours overnight working on something, not this, but something else for giggles, for fun. So do you have any questions so far? I know I haven't really presented a whole lot. I'm just trying to whet your appetite. But are there any questions that you have so far?
When did you first start using SketchUp?
Years ago, boy, it might have been 8, 9 years ago. I was at that time interested in furniture design. And so I made a few coffee tables and other things. I didn't produce them, but it did give me some ideas. And that was before 3D printing. And that's something I guess I should say, I meant to. You saw in the video that there were many different projects going on, right? You saw one guy doing some type of woodworking, a lot of architecture stuff. That's the interesting thing about SketchUp, is that you can go from architecture, even city planning, down to MakerBot 3D printing type of stuff, right? And everywhere in between there. So, you know, obviously, some of those designs were incredible, beyond my skill right now, but you know, you can do those kinds of things.
What's the most complex thing you've ever designed?
That was probably the coffee table, because what I was trying to do is what would a coffee table look like with mixed materials? And so not just wood, so I'm not just taking a piece of wood and making a coffee table. What would it look like so some of the problems I had was, I don't have a woodworking shop, but there's probably things that I could get from Home Depot or Lowe's, okay? But I want it to kind of look cool. So how do I get around the limitations of the tools that I have and the facilities that I have and be able to make something that I think looks cool and modern? So it was the coffee table. So what I did is started with plywood. You know, that's what part of it would be. The legs would be made out of aluminum, because you can get angled aluminum. I would attach it together with rivets and hold it to be able to hold it together. And use some stuff, kind of what I did with exposing some of the joinery, right? So I thought about that kind of thing. But it ended up taking a long time. That was one of the nights that I ran down the rabbit hole, and because putting all the pieces into place, the brackets and all that kind of thing.
How long did you work on the gear shifter?
The gear shifter, so that was interesting. I'm trying to think of, it took, one of the problems that was tough is, and I'm gonna answer that question, but because I'm trying to think about how long it took. It probably took a few nights to really do it. Part of the thing that was tough for me is understanding how to do this radius. Squares are kind of easier, right? Angles are easy, you know, you can cut and get it out, but I wanted it to be like a real shift gate. So I had to, how do I make those angles? And that was probably what was the toughest. So I would say, but overall, you know, obviously you're not working on it straight, but it took me quite a few hours, especially that part. But now that I kind of know it, right? Kind of like with any skill, like you're doing HTML right now, right? So when you first started, it seemed like, oh, this is what? I'm sure now you're kind of getting into the groove of it, and you remember those commands, and you remember those lines. You probably are learning how to copy and paste some of that code back into your, I'm sure. So yeah, I would say, let's say 8 hours, probably, by the time. You know, and I wanted to make sure that the size dimensions were right too. So I kind of went at it, looked at other stuff. Any other questions? Okay. So I know we obviously don't have a lot of time, and this is not meant to give you, you know, full understanding, right? But let me quickly kind of show you something from scratch, and something Alicia and I talked about last night. I know she's got more for you coming up, but let me show you, let's do something, and I think it might be easier for me to just mirror, so I can, this will be easier probably for me then. So let's start with So let's start with a blank canvas, okay?
Can we do this with you?
Sure.
Okay.
But before we get started, let me show you something really quickly and talk about what I was saying about bringing something up and cutting out. Okay, and this is kind of the simplest way, and then we'll work together on something. So up here are your tools. The main tools that I work with are like a rectangle, but it has obviously a drop down where you could a rotated rectangle, but a circle, polygon, etc., etc. You have a line tool. Okay, this is your push-pull tool. That is what kind of gives the 3 dimensions. Again, but let me just show you a very quick. Oh, obviously eraser. So this would be like just a quick and dirty. So you can see that quick, I was able to just make a block, right? And if I were going to, let's see, let's do this way. So I can make a quick line. And use my push-pull tool to cut stuff out. So this would be one way to do it. And now I have a triangle, right? If I were to use another line, let's draw this real quickly. Then I could kind of make your check mark. This is kind of your logo. A little bit steep, but you can see very quickly, and then I can erase this line, that I've been able to very quickly make something in 3D. You then export this to an STL, etc., and then that's what the 3D printer would see and make its calculations on it. So did that kind of make sense of what I talked about? You can kind of cut out stuff, or you can, you could have done the same thing. Right, so when you're talking about sizing, you can use the tape measure. You can also, when you're making something like this, you can see that, you see the dimensions here, this is in inches. So it's showing me what the dimensions basically are. So there's a 2 by 2 inch type of thing. And then when you pull it up, you'll see that, so basically we make roughly a cube. Okay, so why don't we do that? Why don't we pull the software up and let's make a cube. It's a very, very straightforward type of. Yes.
When I downloaded it, like all of these 3 things came up on my computer. Which one?
SketchUp.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Can I delete the other ones or was necessary on my computer?
I mean, if you want to delete them, I think that's fine. They do have other extensions to do other things, though. You may find them useful, in the future. Did everyone else? And go, if you're going to the interface for the first time, like you have here, go all the way down to the bottom if you're using a template, and use the MakerBot template. Whoops.
Should be right in inches, right?
Yeah, and you can make it in inches. I mean, we're still America. Okay, so, you have, I think you're using a different template. So let's go to File. Open here. Where's the template? Is everybody else seeing that?
Who else sees that?
All the way to the bottom.
This comes up right now.
Sketch up there is fun.
Oh, this one always go down. Should be 3D printing inches, right?
So you may not be able to run this, it looks like.
I've practiced with that. Oh, wow, Jeremy is really messed up.
This is getting a graphics, looks like an OpenGL graphics card here.
You can.
I wonder if you might need to. I'm trying to think of what can we do. Maybe if it's an older version. I don't even know how you can keep it.
Destiny, why don't you go ask, take this to Sasank and see if he can help you. Tell him you're trying to download Google SketchUp.
Oh.
Is your battery about to die?
It dies once you get off in like 5 minutes.
So does everybody else have it?
Yeah.
It's almost at the bottom.
Can you scroll down?
This is guy. This guy is fun.
Oh, mine will let me even scroll down like your selection, so I pick the first thing.
Go to
Oh, wait.
it won't scroll back.
Go over to the
Wait,
side.
Oh, just use your arrow key. That is awesome.
Stevie, what did you use to scroll down?
I don't know if that's it,
No, I couldn't
See,
see.
choose template.
Yeah, but how'd you like move down?
I know, I have to see it.
I think I used to scroll down.
Yeah, I just used to scroll down.
I used the little button
Yeah,
Because I
on
didn't know
my
which one to
keyboard
click, 'cause when you
that
click,
lets you
like-
move the mouse without moving the mouse.
That's interesting. It's as if the.
My laptop is weird.
Oh my god.
I didn't know we were on that.
Right.
Quiet. He was like, what's that, Stevie?
I've never seen, well, I'll take that back.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I've never seen somebody killed over food, but I'll have to take that right back.
So many cases. I was just saying, no, I was just referring that to the evidence, not an actual body.
No, my aunt
It
said
could
this
happen.
lady killed a man for $1.
I feel like mine's gonna be like really
Years ago, so I
Playing
played
the
one of
dice
this
game.
Thanksgiving lunch.
Oh, yeah, those dice.
It's so serious.
Okay.
It's hilarious.
I mean, it's so good out there. You know?
What is this supposed to be again? How am I gonna said what?
What is it?
Yes, I saw it.
What's the measure?
Was that real?
With
3 by 3 by 3.
Yup.
Has to fit within a
Yep.
3 by 3 by 3 box.
With no ones, they were like $100 bills. Like,
People do that during lunches.
I have pie here.
yeah.
Really? I think it
How
should
you don't
be.
get caught.
Do you think it should be 3 by 3 by 2? Because like if you're gonna put it on down.
That's where she makes
Guys. So it has to be exactly like 3.2.
It can't be.
It has to be less than 3.
Right, it has to be less than 3.
Okay, guys, we're gonna change the parameters.
Oh.
Less than an inch tall.
Oh.
Because this is just gonna give like your. There's other wicked things coming,
Oh.
but just make it like an inch tall. So like shorten it, whatever it is, like just make it shorter. That's just that little hand to go down. 3 by 3 by 1, but remember the 1 is going to be the height, so make the 3 by 3 the base. Does that make sense?
Okay, I guess.
Man, I was gonna make my
Yeah,
letters.
I need to start all the way over.
I don't understand how. Oh, okay, here's the hand.
This is exactly what I did math, never got.
Oh.
I didn't really even have
I'm making
a logo,
this
so
too
I gotta
hard.
think of a logo.
What do you guys think of this? Do you like it?
Yeah, I'm aesthetically pleased.
So wait, it has to be square?
No,
Okay.
it just has to fit. Oh, go ahead.
How do I make it fit? Because it's giving me decimals and I.
It has to be a cube, you said.
Say what you said.
Less than.
Well, it has to fit within a 3 by 3 by 1.
Yeah.
So I can draw a cube and put my logo inside of that.
That's six.
Did you find out a way to
If you like
To
look on
input
those
dimensions?
I was
Right, so
looking,
just put it
and it seems that a lot of people have that issue, but there's
I think-
not like
What's your
because you said
old
okay.
TV measure?
do that?
Take the tape measure, put it on the the thing that you're designing?
Can you
Well, I
like
was gonna make something totally
how do you
different.
elevate
that's
it
just something
or
you have.
just make it
Well, it
up
wasn't
there?
developed.
Say that again.
How do you elevate it?
I don't know how to cut it. Can you do that?
Well, let me ask you why do you want to elevate it off of it?
For some reason, the space bar is
Just so I can
Really?
see it better.
Yeah, like this, I guess.
Like I can see it like all around. That I want to see the bottom of that.
Okay, so use your orbit tool
Oh, you're saying you don't know how to make it smaller?
Yeah.
and
Oh,
now
that's a good question.
shift
I'll
up.
ask him.
See what you're doing?
And
So you can see the bottom of
So
it.
it's-
It's trying to, what it's trying to do is help you.
Yeah.
I mean, this template tries to help you stay within
Or like this one.
the maker box. But you can erase all of those maker
Oh, so you
boxes
just
off
want
of
a
there
box
if you don't
that's-
want to see those. If you know the dimensions you want, you don't have
That's,
to.
okay, so, okay, so here's
You
what
can
I'm
add patterns, I mean, especially if you raise them, right?
3 by 3 by 1.
Kind of like
You can
that.
create whatever you want to in that 3 by 3 by 1
Raise them up a
space.
little bit.
But it can't be taller than one,
Know that.
wider than 3 by
Just
1.
have this right. You know how
I'm not saying to create a 3 by 3 by 1 box.
Maybe the
I'm
other
saying
one-
whatever design you make
I don't know.
has to be less than 3 by 3 by 1.
So
That's
it's like
your,
laying, the elephant's like laying.
that's the space you
I
have
mean,
to
we could
work
do that way
in.
too.
Yeah, I'll Google what you do.
Hey gang, can I show you one thing real quick? If this template is to help you kind of stay within the parameters of the 3D printer, but you don't have to keep it. So if you just use your erase tool, you can erase the whole box off of there. If you don't want to see that, it's distracting. I do that sometimes. But it's just to help you kind of get started and stay within that box.
I'm gonna stay within that box.
Okay, well, do we have any questions? My time is winding down.
I'm trying to get to a specific.
Do we have any?
Specific.
Do you like do this for like a living? Is this what you want? Or like no?
For
Just
fun?
really random?
Yeah, I've always been curious about design and drawing and 3D modeling and whatnot. I'm just like kind of a curious person, so that's how I kind of got into it. Plus, I like the ability to make things. Again, I want to stress the creativity, and I can see everyone has it, of being able to do something that no one else is doing, right? To make something for little men.
Just so I know, make sure it's specifically 3.
I did it. I took a
It's like,
line.
no, whatever.
I took a line and I
One click on the second one. What about like shifts?
Really?
Is that what you were doing?
when you try to download SketchUp, did this thing pop up on your thingy? When you try to download, like when you
made it
Google
work.
search Google, Googled it.
Yeah, my laptop.
It's like how many
Did you fill it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was too lazy for like the
There's so many
Make that
layers.
make that full screen.
Quit laughing, it's so
No, like whenever I click on it, once I click on it,
for education.
No, I said personal because
I just did it with does it matter if I change
Yeah,
it?
then you press the
Well, I think we can still.
I mean, I know
I
that
just
it's
thought
interesting.
I just said this.
So you just said profession and
I said other.
interests.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you go to the bottom, I got.
I wonder if we need to reinstall it at some point. But just go ahead and pull it up.
I already know what I did.
Yeah.
I started on
Don't use meters.
Did you start going like
Just
this?
feed it in.
I was like, okay, I don't know that.
There it goes.
I'll play around.
Let me delete this.
Nope.
Is everybody else,
The guys watching.
Is it like?
were you able to, okay, in the maker box?
It is.
Don't bring that back.
Oh, so, well,
Don't stop. Yeah. Dominique, you know exactly what you're doing. Don't do it on purpose.
And that is why she's my partner.
It is the Z-axis.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
No,
is.
it is not.
you can use the hand tool to move it over, so, yeah. Like if it ever gets kind of off, yeah, the hand tool. will
This
help.
is so
That's better than like home designer.
Oh, wow, okay, so can everybody try to make a box here? Is everybody started?
Hey, where's the ruler?
Okay, wow, okay, wow, okay, that was way too simple.
They work.
The song said that it is impossible.
Gotta go.
It's just it says it's not possible.
You don't have it's the graphics card.
Yeah,
Tool.
apparently, yeah, this laptop can't do it.
Okay.
Hey, maybe we could use the, do you still have the other laptop at your desk? Or did Nikki
The
take yours?
charger doesn't come on.
How'd you get yours off?
I just unplugged it from the thing and hope it
Okay.
doesn't mess it up.
Okay. I don't wanna hope though, I wanna
I don't know.
and then
No, I'm
if
not
you
computer.
wanna go.
What do you mean, what do you mean hope?
Because like really, it's I guess it's supposed to stay on the charger without
All right, so
moving, but I unplugged it from
does
the
everybody
box itself.
to this point right here? Pretty much.
Plug it in this.
I had to download another one. I can't bring it.
Oh.
I had to download the different.
How else people create this box? I wanna know.
The square can bring it up.
It's a square.
The little square on the pen. No, it can't bring it back now.
All I see is a rectangle.
Yeah, that's it, that's it. The rectangle is a square.
Uh-huh.
No, I didn't.
There you go.
Go back.
Over on the right, you're gonna see the measurements, right?
Take out like stuff from it and get
Let's
Can you
say
draw
it's
your
like
shape?
two. Now, use the
Okay, sis got fancy with the polka dots.
Yeah, and then I think you can push it down and then like.
What, this is a chart where you
How do you rotate it
Two
again?
inches.
You go actually.
Okay, I'm in a tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's a pool back.
I'm in a tree. I'll definitely probably have never at home. I'm gonna have to bust it.
Just had to make it.
Okay, so what about, let's make a triangle out of this. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I was accidentally deleting other things.
Oh.
Oh, here it goes.
Does everyone know how to make a triangle out of this cube?
Don't we have like use a line tool or something?
That's right, a line tool.
Oh, no.
So you can see me up here. I'm going to go to this line tool. And watch this. Here's something that's really nice about, especially we talk about very geometric shapes, right? And you need to kind of get a locating point. If you take this line tool and you pull it across any line, you see how at some point it snaps to. That's the midpoint. So you can kind of grid things up if you need to, if you're trying to, especially if you're trying to be very geometric about it. So the way I did it was I'm going to make a line down the middle, a line to one corner, a line to another corner.
I've been in a tree.
Everybody see that?
Oh, did you?
I've been in a tree.
Yeah?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
How do you like rotate it, like, you know?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can do it. If you had a mouse, you could hold down the control and then the scroll wheel, I'll get it in a second, and do it. Or you can use this rotating tool right there. So now when you click, yep, you can use the hand tool to kind of shift it up and down and around, like hold the whole picture. But that's how you do that. Okay. Oh, and I see you've already pushed and pulled.
How do you wait?
And then you can delete your line in the middle of the eraser.
Okay.
What did you do?
I don't know what happened. I said, push, push.
I done messed up.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
Okay, so here's what you can do. Take your hand tool.
How do you
Little hand there.
I have
Click on and pull it up. Yeah, so you can see it a little better, right?
Oh, you're gonna do this all again?
Yeah.
You can also
I have
scroll
some
in if you
stuff
want to.
on it.
Yeah, you can.
I have to like sit
Take
down
Okay.
and
Okay.
whole
Gosh, I
computer.
didn't know these things.
3 and then turn around.
Wait, okay, then.
Yeah, do,
If you want to go in.
The push pull.
Yeah, no.
not control.
There you go. In.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's
So now,
open.
use your push pull tool.
It's like,
Oh,
Just
well,
as you did to
they
raise it
put
up.
it together.
Push.
but it's not open on both
Did you
sides.
hit exactly on the line?
I guess not.
Boom.
I
I don't think you need it.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna do it on a non-match.
Isn't there like a?
How do you turn it around so you can look at both?
Oh, so you use this, what is that called, hand tool? Orbit tool. Yeah.
I need to stop.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, so this is good.
What's getting on your nerves? Oh no, what's
Oh
going
no,
on?
it was my cords got shorted,
Oh.
so it was
It's not.
my phone was plugged up to it, so it was
Yes.
sticking out.
Me too.
So we've got to get you up to speed. Is it loading or?
Mhm.
Okay. Wow, okay. Wow, you're making designs? How did you do that? Wow, okay. Okay.
She had
What do you,
polka
what do
dots
you
and everything.
find? Were you able to, you able to make the triangle?
Yeah, but it's just one line.
Cause you erased it, right?
I tried.
Okay.
There we
But
go.
let's make a 3D triangle. So that's one thing that's interesting.
No.
Let me show you something real quick, gang.
Right here. Oh no, where's your triangle?
I don't know.
What did you say? Oh no, where's your trunk? I don't know.
Okay, sorry. I think I made it in one. Okay, it's okay, I'll
So
stop.
you were just a step away. So make it try.
That's my wave.
I've been instead of
Honestly,
please.
this side.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm just gonna redo this one. I think I just yeah.
Finally come up for you?
Yes.
Okay, now.
Oh, look, you can dry erase.
So can you get to this?
Not erase will just erase lines.
Oh, okay.
You want to like push and pull things away.
It'd
So
be
that's
better
this
in this
button
case
right
to start
here.
with the red.
This one?
It'll allow you to do
Oh,
the same thing.
See?
So what if I want to make a teeter totter? Can I just put like a rectangle on top?
Okay, straight.
Absolutely.
What did you say?
I think what you did was you pushed the whole thing back, maybe.
I don't even know what it said.
I think it would have been a good time.
That's a good question, Pearl.
It's so strange.
Now what? Guess what?
Are you gonna make us design something?
Your business is
Oh.
taking off. guys.
Oh, here we go again.
Orders are coming in from foundations.
No.
Time Warner Cable is doing a presentation because
It must have really.
I mean, sorry, Charter Spectrum. I would say Time Warner Cable thinking nobody knows they switch, and everyone always knows that they switch. So you see what you hear them? He works for Charter, which is everybody knows is Spectrum, which I don't want to speak for you.
Which, I don't know where you're going.
Well, I was telling him that like everybody calls it Spectrum. When people ask where's your husband work, I say he works at Charter, and they say, oh, Spectrum, and he was saying he'll definitely have to let the marketing team know because that was their goal, was to get everybody to call it Spectrum and not Charter. Did you say that?
Yeah, so, the cable industry has an awful reputation. And so one of the ways you can change any kind of reputation is maybe change your name. Assuming that you're doing a good job otherwise, right? So it's been kind of a trend with the larger companies. Comcast has done it, Charter has done it, probably TWC before they got bought out was probably going to do it, but everybody's changing to a brand, right? So Comcast has Xfinity, Charter has Spectrum. So I don't know. It's and maybe that is a good way, right? Maybe I mean I don't want to be hard on my industry, but my industry there's a lot of what we would call sins of the father, right? And they're paying for it now because the industry didn't really do the right thing years ago, and so they're having to pay for that kind of thing. And so maybe sometimes changing your name does change your attitude and change the company that you
I
are.
don't know what I'm doing at 18.
So,
okay.
everybody listen up for a second. Stop your design. Okay, your business is seeing some success. And now instead of being at what was that place called? The park. Now instead of your office space at the park, you actually have a physical space for your business. How exciting!
What if I want?
Welcome. So, in order to give your business like a like a placard, you'll see if you walk into Glow Touch, you see that there's a Glow Touch placard. You need a logo. So your next design challenge is to create, now listen to the parameters, and you might want to write this down actually. You need to create a logo for your business.
This is our web design?
This is your web design company. Create a logo for your business.
What if you already
Now,
made a logo?
perfect. Put it on SketchUp so that I can 3D print it. If it's just the B, that's fine.
What the,
Make a letter
like,
B.
So, here's the thing. This is in no way the limitations of SketchUp. But let's do something that applies to what we're learning here during this program. And then you guys feel free to, you saw all this stuff on the video. And what also Tim has created. And the reason why I wanted so badly for him to talk about why he even initiated this, because you start with recognizing a problem in the world. You see something that's lacking in the world. It doesn't have to be like poverty. It could just be like, my kid needs a gear shifter and I can't seem to find what I want. And I want it to fit into the cup holder. So you do some design on your own, and that's how every business gets started. They find something that's lacking in the world and create it, and then people buy it. And it doesn't, I mean, I don't think we're gonna go mass market with this, but think about it.
But they don't get that money.
So the whole point is that you recognize something is missing, and then you take steps to design it. So that's what creativity is, and it's creativity in a real world application. So this is really simple, and it's something that I can print off for you. I don't want to bombard my file, because these, I don't know if you've seen a 3D printer, but it takes forever to print stuff.
It really does.
So I don't want like, oh, and then Saren created an architectural masterpiece of the Sistine Chapel, and so like I'll give it to you in 5 years. So like this has to be something very small. So here are the parameters. It has to be within a 3 cubic inch cube, 3 cubic inches. So a 3 by 3 by 3 cube inches. Okay, don't switch to millimeters, then it gets really weird.
The only, I mean, that's fine. I'll work with your dad, because sometimes when you're in inches and you send it to STL and stuff, it packs funny. You just have to blow it up.
Okay.
But that's fine. I think go with what you know, right? And then we can compromise.
Would you prefer it to be? What do you prefer?
I prefer. I mean, unfortunately, I'm so old that inches make sense to my mind as far as dimensions, right? And so I typically design in inches, but there's the downside is that you then have to convert it in the software. But it's not a problem.
So would millimeters be better?
Probably millimeters would be a better translation.
Oh, okay.
Naturally.
What's a millimeter?
Actually,
No. How many?
Can I take that whole statement back and not worry about what I just said?
Sure.
Because you can scale. I just realized it's got that function.
Okay.
Convert.
So 3 by 3 by 3. Now, we're not really looking for like, and then I put a tiny 16th of an inch circle. I mean, if you need that, if that's that moment. But remember, it's fairly small. So like, this is just to do a simple project. This is not supposed to be like this extremely complex thing. You just think about Empowered's logo. Done. Okay? So like, you come up with something like that, done. And you have until 12:30 to do it.
For my okay.
For your done.
For real?
Yes, Destiny.
I
Destiny.
know.
We can do it.
Good.
But listen, it doesn't have to stop here. It doesn't have to stop
okay.
here. Nothing. This is the beginning and not the end. It's not school. There's no like, this project is due at 12:30 and it better be on a reminder or something. But see what you can do in an hour. So you obviously have kind of a sizable task in front of you. Probably, apparently Stevie has thought about her logo, but a lot of people haven't even thought about their logo. Which is actually bad. No, it's fine.
Can I just take my number?
So you think about a logo, okay? Actually, let me ask this. Destiny.
It'll be
Oh, I'm sorry.
the easiest way would be what kind of put you in.
Wait, so are you like for like what's the inches?
I'm printing everybody's logo.
So what's the winner of
As
this
long
one?
as it's appropriate.
Is that the only parameter? Is that the only
Listen here.
parameter?
Okay, Destiny is going to establish our deadline. When should this be? This is going to be due.
Oh, great.
Let's just change it. Let's make it later. When do you think?
How long does your father need?
Don't worry about my father.
Okay.
Not like an aspect. I don't mean it like that. I mean, don't worry about that aspect.
I don't know anything about 3D printers.
Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about that. You're creating a sketch. Creating a 3D
feel
sketch.
like I could get it to you personally. I guess like a week would be. I would like to have a week.
It's
It's gonna be
too long.
long.
Okay,
Okay,
too long.
Monday. That we have the weekend.
That's
I was thinking like 4. I was thinking like 4.
I want to watch some tutorials.
No.
Listen,
You watch some tutorials this weekend. Destiny, that's a wonderful idea. You watch some tutorials this weekend. But just for this simple logo for your design.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, it's due. Say it.
Wait, how do you?
Say it one more time. We have to tell Destiny. We can do it. What's the word? 1, 2, 3. Empowered.
That was a really weak empowered
Sorry.
I really did.
And then start making it, and what you'll see is that it'll.
Okay, so
I have to change my
listen up, guys. There's one tool you need to know about.
have no creativity.
There's one tool you need to, and that's the tape measure. So let me push this in.
Yeah, you're seeing how it pull up, it'll show it as well. And then what Alicia is telling you too. Hey, oh,
Yes, sir.
I was gonna show them something.
Oh, so if I like need to know how, because it has to fit within a 3x3x3 box. My brother also 3D prints, and he had like there's parameters that it has to fit in, and people always are like, oh, I'm a little over, and it's like that's not how it works. Like I cannot print it. So make sure it's like here we go. So you put your little tape measure here. Nope. Is that it?
Where's it at?
Is that 2 point? Start here and go to here and see that that's 2.2 and some change inches. And then if you need to measure like the height, and you see that that's 2 and a little bit.
Oh, never mind, I found it.
So like what if I was like, oh okay, I'm gonna pull something up. Watch me whip, guys. Watch me.
Oh god.
You say you watching me whip?
So what if I was like that, and then I was like, oh, that up. I mean, I'm not saying that's attractive. I'm just saying that like you can pull things out of things. You know what I mean? You can always keep pulling. You know, like there's so much you can do.
Is there a feature where you can like type in the dimensions and it can automatically?
There probably is. I
Keep
was
it in that
actually
box?
thinking about that, and that would be probably something good because it does make it easier, right?
Yeah.
It'd be so much easier.
Zoom in.
Honestly, I just haven't done that. But I'm sure there is a feature where you can type in the triangle.
Hold on, I'm Googling it.
Gotta go.
So you basically said, let me Google that for you.
Okay.
Can I do something? real quick?
Not even gonna lie, I just probably
How can I like cut the? If I make it too big.
How
my
far
part-
off of 3 can we go?
No, actually, it's good.
Not.
You can't.
Oh.
If you draw a line.
I was like
0,
3.01.
That's what I learned.
Has to be under 3 inches.
Oh, that's a L. What am I doing here? Okay, I don't know what I'm failing.
Oh, and I'm sorry, one thing you don't know about 3D printing necessarily is that it is all one color, and it's probably whatever color he has.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, never mind. That
You
makes
just
sense.
see that
Which
the
might be
last moment.
yellow, I forgot. Does he have different colors?
I think he has yellow and black.
But it's not like, oh, let me make this side yellow, and it doesn't work that way. Like, everything's gonna be either all yellow or all black. I don't mean to insult you guys if you already know that, but you can only 3D print in one color.
Oh,
Do that, but you just look at him so long for a second.
I'm sorry. Let me ask him if he's willing to do this.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so I know that was you know, I have to say something real quick. Y'all are kind of amazing. Like that was really, y'all picked up on that so quick. I guess I'm used to working with an older generation, and I would have had to spend like 3 hours to do the kind of things that y'all picked up very quickly. So
It's a quick group too.
yeah,
We're aesthetically pleased and I'm intrigued.
They steal stuff though.
Oh. Yeah, we're just so hungry that we just can't ask
Too
for
soon.
snacks. We
Too
just
soon.
can't
Hey, last time I
Yeah,
checked,
no
they gave
idea
us
what
like
you're
4
talking
pies. So, I mean,
No.
technically.
Hey, nobody, no crime. So, there's no evidence. Nothing.
She said,